Hello. Religious Fiction was tagged to do a video on stereotypes. The tag was to answer 3 questions. The first, to name a stereotype that you believe is true. The second, to name one that you believe is false. And the third, name the one you think applies to you. So, here's my 3. Number 1. I've never really been one to subscribe to absolutes, so I picked the one I felt was mostly true. And I have to admit, I, Snackar, have a bias against bisexuals. In case you don't know the stereotypes for bisexuals, they typically include things like bisexuals are cheaters, or they feel they must have both a man and a woman at the same time to be happy, or that they're just coming to terms with their sexuality and it's kind of like a test phase. Sometimes you might hear the phrase, "Bye now, gay later," or that they're just horny little buggers looking to score. I know the stereotype is wrong to hold, and I know how I obtained this bias. I do believe there are bisexuals out there that don't fit this stereotype, but I've yet to meet one personally. I call this my bi-holy grail, so to speak. I do intend to eventually meet one that doesn't fall into one of those stereotypes to me, and I am working really hard to get rid of the stereotype within myself, but it's taking some time. My mother even holds a lot of these stereotypes, and I've even argued against her, stating that those are just not true. But inside, I still can't help but feel like I'm talking about unicorns to somebody who's talking about horses. And as I said, I'm actively trying to break this in myself. The story of how I got this stereotype is pretty simple. I've had a lot of bi girls break my heart, repeatedly. Number 2, the stereotype you find false. This one was simple for me. Any racial stereotype I've ever heard. Like, Asians are bad drivers, blacks are violent, addicted criminals, Mexicans are dirty, wetback lazies, whites cannot dance. Well, I kind of proved this last one. Third, my stereotype. I fit the stereotype of the nerd dyke. This is nerd plus dyke. Lesbians do have stereotypes within their own community. Typically, though, these are usually seen as a positive label, but not always. Just ask any girl that's been labeled a baby dyke and ask her how she feels about that one. And they sort of put you like into what your scene or your niche is. Now, the stereotypical nerd dyke is on the butch side. My haircut doesn't give that away. I don't know what does. A gamer. Any platform will do. But the violent ones the boys are playing are the better games. Proficient with computers, and not just Windows. A lot of us have dual boot systems. I do. We're into online conversations and chats. Everything from ICQ, AOL Instant Messenger, MSN, you name it. But a lot of us typically prefer to go retro with IRC or Internet Relay Chat. This was something that came out really after the bulletin board systems, but was long before instant messengers and instant messages were even thought of. Well, they were dreamed of. It was science fiction at the time. We also tend to be vegetarian, sometimes for ethical reasons, or we just don't like meat, or taking the time to actually prevent food poisoning through actually cooking the meat just takes so long, it keeps us from setting new high scores on our games. We typically tend to be kind of cyberpunk. We're into rock or electronic music. Everything from dark pulsing tones, rave, chiptunes that incorporates games and electronic music. Yay! The tattooed among us will have one nerdy reference. Computer logos, Douglas Adams quotes, just a 42, something sci-fi, maybe even Stephen Hawking tattooed on us. And we are typically chemically dependent on one or more of the following: adrenaline, caffeine, or nicotine. As for the tattoo, I am tattooed, and I do have a computer logo tattooed on my arm. This is it. Can anyone name what that logo is? Okay, well that's mine. I leave this as an open tag. Make a video, post yours in the comments, or tattoo them on yourself somewhere and link me to the picture. Alright, good night. I need some sleep. I have to wrangle a 1-year-old tomorrow and I'm going to need my rest. Have a great night, everybody.